Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission here is always to take that huge, overwhelming stack of future research, the articles, the policy papers, all those detailed forecasts, and just distill them. We boil it down to the essential knowledge you need to be not just informed, but well strategically positioned.
Right.
And today, we're not talking about some far-off, distant future. We are locking in on the immediate transformation, the one that's happening right now and over the next 5 years.
Yeah.
We're talking about the 5-year roadmap for AI agents, spanning 2025 all the way through 2030.
And it's really a deep dive into what we'd call a revolutionary phase shift. I mean, we are moving so far beyond the simple prompt and response cycle that we're used to with the current LLMs.
Right, it's not just chatbots anymore.
Not at all. A lot of the material we're analyzing today, it draws really heavily on the forecasts from Mr. Zahir Ahmad Mir in his work. And he highlights this transition to full autonomous digital workers.
Workers, they're tools.
Employees, that's the key. These aren't just tools you use, they're employees you manage.
So we're essentially charting a course through that immediate future. We're going to analyze the rise of these multi-agent ecosystems, the industry-by-industry shakeup, from law firms to healthcare.
And the governance challenge.
Exactly, the governance. What new challenges do these independent workers create? And maybe most importantly for you listening, the career shifts. The ones required for you to transition from just using AI tools to actually managing an AI workforce.
It's a detailed prediction of the next 5 years of, really, economic and technological change. And it is moving faster than I think almost anyone realizes.
Okay, so the core concept we need to get our heads around right away is this distinction you mentioned. The difference between an AI assistant and a truly autonomous agent.
That's it right there. An assistant, it waits for a prompt, you tell it what to do. An autonomous agent is proactive, it has long-term memory, it manages entire workflows toward a goal you set, and it just works continuously.
Without constant human hand-holding.
Exactly, without constant intervention. It's the difference between asking someone for a quick summary and just handing over an entire department's responsibilities.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with that central transformation, the rise of the autonomous digital employee. What really defines this new category of worker that's coming online in, the next 12 to 18 months?
Right, so the 2025 to 2030 period. This is the point where AI agents graduate, for lack of a better word.
I like that.
They evolve from these simple scripting tools into true autonomous digital workers. I mean, historically, if you wanted an AI to do something, you had to break it down, right, into 5, maybe 10 subtasks and feed them in one by one.
So step-by-step instructions.
Exactly. Now, you just define the objective. You say, launch a new product line targeting Gen Z in 3 international markets. And that's it.
And the agent does the rest.
But the autonomous agent figures out all the intermediate steps, the resource allocation, the timing, and it just executes the plan on its own.
Wow. That sounds a lot more like delegating management, not just, delegating a task. So what are the actual capabilities that let an agent handle an entire complex workflow from start to finish without needing that constant human sign-off at every single stage?
Well, the leap isn't just about faster processing. It's a completely different cognitive architecture. By 2030, we expect these agents will work independently, they'll continuously learn new skills, and they'll handle these full workflows. We're looking at AIs that are capable of deep contextual reasoning.
Okay.
Negotiating with other agents or even external systems, building software or digital assets from scratch, and managing these highly complex interdependent systems. They're really defined by a whole set of differentiating capabilities.
Okay, let's break those down then, because these are the features that really separate them from the chatbots we're all using today.
Absolutely. So first, you've got multi-step reasoning. And this isn't just following a simple to-do list.
Right.
This involves inferring necessary steps that you didn't even provide. It's about managing dependencies across all those steps.
Okay, and the second one?
Second, planning and scheduling. This is absolutely crucial. An autonomous agent has to be able to create a viable timeline, allocate virtual resources, and then dynamically adjust that whole schedule.
Based on what's happening in real time.
Based on real-time feedback or external constraints. So for example, if a marketing campaign fails, the agent has to autonomously reschedule the content creation, redirect the budget, all on its own.
So they're not just executing, they anticipate and they adapt. They're running scenarios internally before they even make a move.
Precisely. They're constantly modeling the future. Third, and this is a big one, we have memory and personalization.
Okay.
Current AI models are often, session-based. They forget everything when you close the window.
Right, they have the memory of a goldfish.
Exactly. Future agents will retain this vast long-term context about you, about your organization, about the systems they manage. They become more and more effective over time because they accumulate knowledge.
Which leads to more personalized actions that actually reflect what you want.
Highly personalized and consistent actions that truly reflect your preferences and your strategic goals.
And of course, since they can be operating out in the real world, interacting with data, with video, with physical sensors, they must have some kind of rich sensory apparatus.
That's a fourth capability. Rich, multimodal understanding. They don't just process text. They're simultaneously interpreting text, images, audio streams, video sequences, sensor data, all of it at once.
So they can understand the full context of what's happening, whether they're reading a spreadsheet or literally watching factory floor footage.
Yes, and that feeds directly into their capacity for real-time decision-making.
Right. So if they see an abnormality in a video feed from a sensor, that's the multimodal input, they have to immediately use that info to adjust their plan
That's the planning and scheduling.
and then take an action.
Correct. And that action taking, that's defined by the final two features, tool orchestration and API-based action taking.
Okay, so this is the engine room. This is how they actually do things.
This is the operational engine. The agent doesn't just output a suggestion like, you should do this. It identifies the necessary external software, the CRM system, the payment gateway, the code repository, and it uses the right API to execute the task directly.
So it's orchestrating a whole suite of other software tools.
Independently. It integrates and orchestrates complex software stacks all on its own.
That really drives home the analogy that the source material provides, that these agents will behave like actual professional roles, like executive assistants, analysts, teachers, developers, not just these singular little functions.
They fulfill complex, ongoing roles that, traditionally required a full human employee. But the real power, and this is what's so fascinating, it doesn't come from a single super agent.
It's about collaboration.
It's about collaboration between specialized workers. We're seeing this rapid evolution of multi-agent networks. The future involves orchestrated teams of agents working together, each specializing in a different part of the workflow.
This shifts the whole model. So we're not just building one AI anymore. We're building an entire digital department.
You are.
But wait, if these agents are all autonomous, how do they communicate with each other? And more importantly, how do they resolve conflict when their independent goals start to clash?
That is a central architectural challenge that the research is really focused on. These networks, they need internal governance protocols. So let's consider the 5-agent business team structure.
Okay.
You give an instruction to the CEO agent. You say, achieve 30% market penetration by Q4.
Simple enough. So the CEO agent sets the overall strategy, but then the specialized agents are the ones that actually take over the day-to-day.
Exactly. The marketing agent launches ads, the sales agent starts doing outreach. But here's where it gets interesting. Suppose the sales agent discovers that to close deals, they have to promise an expensive, non-standard feature.
Classic conflict.
A classic conflict. So the product agent, who's overseeing development, receives the sales agent's promise through their internal communication system, maybe using a specialized agent communication language, or ACL.
So the product agent says, no way.
Well, the product agent realizes this new feature will completely derail the core Q4 development timeline. It's a conflict point.
So how does the system stop itself from just grinding to a halt or causing chaos?
The CEO agent acts as the mediator. It's designed with that higher-level strategic understanding and the governance protocols. It analyzes the trade-off.
Short-term sales versus long-term product integrity.
Precisely. And it uses data from the finance agent about profitability and from the product agent about feasibility. Then it issues a new refined directive back to the sales agent. Maybe it authorizes a compromise feature, or maybe it redirects sales efforts to a different customer segment.
So it's this internal, continuous negotiation, all managed by a governance agent, that makes the whole network function autonomously.
Yes. And that's a profound level of complexity. It requires real-time logical mediation, which ties right back to those advanced reasoning capabilities we talked about earlier.
And this isn't just for business, right? The source material models this for really regulated sectors, too.
Oh, absolutely. Take the 3-agent legal team. You've got a case research agent that is constantly digesting new statutes, new case law, 24/7.
Yeah.
Then you have the drafting agent preparing all the documents, and a hearing preparation agent that runs probabilistic simulations of the case. They work as a unit.
So what happens when new information comes in?
Well, if the research agent discovers some key precedent that weakens the drafting agent's prepared argument, that new information is immediately injected into the hearing prep agent's simulation.
And that agent then flags the issue.
It reports back to the human attorney, the supervisor, highlighting the necessary strategic pivot. They act as a cluster, optimizing for the best legal outcome based on a shared, constantly updated knowledge base. So if we accept this level of collaboration and autonomy, then we also have to accept that these agents can't just be living inside a single application. They have to be everywhere the work is happening.
That brings us to what's called cross-platform agent swarms. Their operational scope is massive. It creates what is essentially a seamless layer of a digital work environment.
Operating across everything.
Everything. Web browsers, mobile operating systems, desktop apps, APIs, cloud servers, and this is critical through physical access points like IoT devices, cameras, and sensors.
Okay, walk me through a scenario where that cross-platform nature is absolutely non-negotiable for an autonomous operation.
Okay, think about a complex manufacturing supply chain.
Yeah.
You've got an inventory agent that's running locally on a dedicated AI chip right there in the warehouse.
That's edge AI for low latency.
Right, and this agent is monitoring the IoT sensors on the conveyor belts and the camera feeds for quality control. That's the multimodal input. It determines that a specific raw material batch is running low and predicts a 3-day delay based on historical data. So that critical localized data needs to get up to the strategic layer fast.
Exactly. The inventory agent immediately uses the cloud API to communicate with the procurement agent, which is running on the central cloud server.
And that agent's job is to buy more stuff.
Right. So the procurement agent now needs to negotiate a new delivery timeline and a new price with an external vendor's supplier agent. That's an API-based action.
So it's already working across 3 different platforms.
At least. The internal cloud, the external vendor's API, and maybe sending a confirmation alert to the human supervisor's mobile device.
Yeah.
This level of continuous cross-system integration is what creates continuous AI assistance. The whole system only works if the agents can swarm across all of those interfaces.
This constant presence and autonomous action across all digital and physical touchpoints, that's really what defines the shift. It stops being a discrete tool you open and close, and it starts becoming a living, breathing part of your infrastructure.
It does.
That gives us a really robust picture of what these agents are. So now let's shift gears. Let's talk about the immediate, tangible impact. Where is this disruption going to be felt first between 2025 and 2030?
Well, the restructuring is going to be universal, but those high-volume, information-rich sectors, the ones that rely on synthesizing just vast amounts of existing knowledge, they're the most vulnerable, but they also have the most to gain.
And we start with the legal sector.
We do.
The source suggests that lawyers are going to shift from being sort of document processors to strategic supervisors. That's a huge change in professional identity.
It is a complete upheaval of the entry-level legal model.
Yeah.
I mean, historically, young associates spent years checking citations, reviewing discovery documents.
The grunt work.
The grunt work. AI agents are built to just crush that volume. They'll draft complex petitions with machine accuracy. They'll check every single citation against every jurisdiction's current standing, summarize thousands of hours of case law in minutes.
And manage every intricate case timeline without a single error. But what about the really high-stakes, nuanced parts of the profession? I mean, how do agents interact with the actual strategy of litigation?
That's where the advanced capabilities really kick in. An agent cluster can analyze historical judicial behavior, which judges tend to favor which types of arguments or precedents, and then predict court outcomes probabilistically.
So it's like a hyper-advanced form of jury consultant.
In a way. And what's more, the hearing preparation agent can review transcripts, identify every minor inconsistency in a witness's prior statement, and then prepare a whole cross-examination outline, identifying the optimal line of questioning faster than a team of 20 paralegals could.
So the human attorney's time, it's now entirely dedicated to client management, to complex negotiation in Payson, and leveraging the AI's analysis for that high-level strategy.
It's the emotional intelligence and the human judgment part of the job that the AI can't replace.
They're freed from that cognitive burden of all the research and documentation.
Exactly, which allows them to focus entirely on strategy and application. And the entire economic model of the law firm shifts from billing hours for research to billing for strategic oversight that's powered by these autonomous agent clusters.
Okay, let's transition to education. This is a sector that often moves pretty slowly, but the potential for AI tutors to solve these fundamental access and personalization problems seems immense.
It's an opportunity for radical equalization. I mean, imagine an AI tutor that can teach thousands of students simultaneously, regardless of their geographical location.
But the key isn't just delivering the content, right?
Yep.
It's the personalization.
It's the continuous, deep personalization.
So how does this personalization go beyond, the simple adaptive quizzes we have right now?
Well, the AI tutor is an autonomous agent with long-term memory. So it's tracking a student's cognitive map, not just their test scores, across years. It understands where they struggled in fifth grade algebra and how that's impacting their current understanding of physics. It can customize the teaching style, shifting from visual to auditory explanations using analogies that are relevant to the student's personal interests.
And it can generate quizzes on the fly.
Instantly. And tailor them to assess conceptual understanding, not just rote memorization.
So the result is that the human teacher's role shifts entirely. They become the facilitator, the emotional anchor, the manager of the social dynamics in this AI-augmented classroom.
While the AI handles the bulk of the individualized instructional delivery and assessment,
It's a hybrid teaching model.
a hybrid model where the AI provides that hyper-efficiency of personalized instruction, and the human provides the social connection and mentorship that's just so critical for development.
Okay, next up, healthcare augmentation. And we have to stress, as the source does, AI agents are not replacing doctors.
No, not at all. They are providing an unprecedented layer of support and error reduction. The agents function as this massive diagnostic and administrative safety net.
So in diagnostics, what does that look like?
Well, the agents are analyzing complex multimodal inputs, MRI scans, X-rays, live physiological data, and they're detecting microscopic abnormalities that are far beyond the fatigue limits of a human radiologist. They're helping doctors diagnose conditions faster and with significantly higher verification rates.
And how does the autonomous nature of the agent help here, beyond just the analysis part?
They can handle the entire clinical workflow autonomously. For instance, an agent can review a patient's full medical history, cross-reference it with the latest global research and clinical trials, and propose not just a diagnosis, but a verified treatment plan and a protocol adherence schedule.
That's incredible.
They can also convert complex medical reports into simple patient language, manage follow-up appointments, and even monitor remote patient data through IoT health sensors, proactively alerting the doctor if a physiological parameter crosses a critical threshold.
So that capacity to analyze data faster and adhere to protocols perfectly, that's crucial for reducing diagnostic errors and, I'd imagine, significantly shortening patient waiting times.
It makes healthcare more efficient and safer. It standardizes the quality of care, ensuring every single patient benefits from the collective knowledge of the entire medical world, filtered by an impartial, tirelessly attentive agent.
Now let's talk about the economic engine of this whole transformation, business and entrepreneurship. This is where that idea of power multiplication really hits home. The concept that one single person can operate with the functional power of a 20-person digital workforce. That's revolutionary.
It completely flattens the startup landscape. I mean, the traditional barriers to entry, the capital you need for salaries, HR logistics, specialized staffing, all of that just evaporates when you can instantiate a full digital team instantly.
Okay, so let's detail that entrepreneur's virtual team. What specific ongoing roles are being fully delegated to these agent clusters by 2030?
The entrepreneur focuses purely on the vision and the product market fit. Everything else is delegated. So you have the AI strategy advisor constantly reviewing market data and proposing refined execution plans,
You've got an AI market researcher.
identifying niche gaps, price points, and competitive activity. You've got the AI accountant managing all financial inflow, tax calculations, compliance reporting.
And on the operational side, the customer interface and content creation.
While the AI sales agent handles all the inbound inquiries, it conducts initial discovery calls, it qualifies leads, it manages follow-up sequences all autonomously. It could be handling thousands of prospects a month.
Wow.
Then the AI graphic designer and AI video editor receive strategic inputs, and they generate all the required marketing collateral from social media assets to full training videos.
You even have an AI HR assistant.
Right. It manages compliance documentation, tracks regulatory changes, and handles internal communications for the human core team.
This means the bottleneck to scaling is no longer finding and managing human talent. It's the quality of the founding vision and the efficiency of the agents managing the execution.
Which accelerates innovation exponentially. It turns the solo entrepreneur into a force multiplier. It gives them the operational capacity to compete with medium-sized enterprises from day one.
Finally, let's turn to government and civic systems. When the state starts integrating autonomous agents, the potential for reshaping citizen engagement and service delivery is enormous. But it also demands a lot of precision.
Public service is inherently documentation and process heavy, so governments will increasingly adopt agents for citizen interaction and planning. We're going to see sophisticated AI public service kiosks offering immediate, multilingual, round-the-clock assistance for everything from permit applications to tax inquiries.
Which takes a lot of pressure off human staff and improves accessibility.
Precisely. And what's more critical are systems like AI complaint management, which can autonomously track, prioritize, and route issues to the correct department, ensuring resolution timelines are met.
And in planning.
In planning, you'll have AI urban planning systems modeling traffic flows, infrastructure needs, and sustainability projections in real time, which leads to far more responsive municipal development. We'll also see AI education dashboards managing regional performance metrics and AI health monitoring systems tracking public health data for rapid intervention during crises.
The implication is massive efficiency, but also the necessity of having robust, auditable technology to ensure transparency and trust in these civic systems.
It is.
Which requires us to take a look under the hood at the actual technological stack that's enabling all this autonomy.
To support this autonomous employee and all these massive sectoral disruptions, the AI models themselves have to undergo a serious upgrade. And this brings us to the technological shifts that are defining the 2025-2030 foundation.
And we start with multimodal foundation models. We know models can handle text and images now, but the capacity you're describing here seems fundamentally different.
The next generation of models are evolving into these holistic, persistent observers. They're moving past processing discrete data points to understanding the full, continuous context of their environment.
So what does that mean in practice?
It means processing complex inputs simultaneously, understanding full documents, not just text snippets, but the layout, the graphs, the associated images. They can ingest and relate information from 100+ images at once to grasp a comprehensive scene.
That's the difference between seeing a single frame and actually understanding an entire film sequence.
Exactly. They have to analyze audio and video sequences over extended durations. They have to comprehend 3D worlds for things like robotics and industrial applications, and integrate continuous sensor data streams. This confluence of information allows the agent to behave like a real-world observer.
Let's use that manufacturing example again. A quality control agent isn't just checking a batch of parts.
No.
It's watching the live video of the parts being made, listening to the acoustic signature of the machinery,
That's audio,
reading the internal temperature logs,
sensor data,
and cross-referencing all of this against the CAD design blueprint.
the 3D model, right. It synthesizes all those inputs to flag a fault before it even happens.
That contextual riffness is what allows for proactive autonomy. Without it, the agent is basically blind to the real-world operational challenges.
It is. However, when you grant agents this unprecedented access to sensitive corporate or personal data, the issue of privacy just explodes.
And that's where the technological necessity meets the governance requirement. Privacy and locality via edge AI and local models.
I mean, think about it. When an agent is handling confidential legal documents or live patient health data, transferring all that raw information to some massive centralized cloud server for processing becomes a non-starter.
Legally and practically, the latency would be terrible.
Unacceptable for real-time actions.
Right.
So the processing has to be decentralized.
And the solution is
A massive investment in on-device AI chips, specialized hardware accelerators that can handle the massive compute requirements locally. This facilitates local large language models and, increasingly, local multimodal models that operate completely offline. This is the definition of edge AI,
so AI operating at the network edge, closer to the data source.
which drastically reduces the security risk because the sensitive data never leaves the protected device or the internal network.
And this is crucial for those high security and privacy sensitive sectors.
Absolutely. Military intelligence, internal legal counsel, financial trading firms, their agents have to run on secured, localized systems. The technical challenge right now is fitting these increasingly powerful models onto smaller, more efficient chips, which is a huge area of competition and development.
What's fascinating here is how the foundational logic of the AI itself is also being upgraded to handle these high-stakes, decentralized environments. Let's talk about the logic upgrade, neurosymbolic reasoning.
Right. So current generative AI, it's brilliant at pattern matching. It's probabilistic. It gives you the answer that it's most statistically likely to be correct. But in law or finance or medicine, statistical likelihood just isn't enough. You need provable, verifiable correctness.
And that's where the combination of logic, the symbolic side, with the neural understanding comes in.
Exactly. Neurosymbolic reasoning marries the pattern recognition power of neural understanding with the rigor of traditional rule-based symbolic reasoning. It moves beyond just statistical correlation to verifiable logical deduction.
So what does that actually mean for the output?
It produces vastly improved reasoning, higher accuracy, and most importantly, explainable AI.
Yeah.
If an autonomous agent using pure neural networks tells a lawyer, this case is likely to fail, the lawyer can't really ask why in a way that provides auditable steps.
That's a black box.
It's a black box. With neurosymbolic reasoning, the agent can output the logical chain of deduction, the specific precedents or statutes it weighted, the conditions it tested, and why it arrived at that conclusion.
So explainable AI is really the technological foundation for trust. It lets a human supervisor audit the digital worker's decisions.
Which is essential for high-stakes environments like courts, hospitals, and finance. If the agent is acting autonomously and has the potential for massive economic or human impact, the mechanism for reversing, auditing, and understanding that action has to be baked into its core architecture.
So as these agents become more intelligent and autonomous, our mode of interaction with them will inevitably change. I mean, if they're managing entire supply chains and acting as our personal executive assistants, we can't be tethered to a keyboard all day.
No. And by 2030, using AI will be fundamentally conversation first. This is the era of voice-first AI dominating the interface landscape. We are moving away from screens as the primary input mechanism because, frankly, it just slows down the autonomous workflow.
And this requires always-on systems that are integrated into our lives.
Yes, we'll rely on always-on microphones, hands-free operations, and seamless real-time translation capabilities. We're already seeing the rise of wearable AI devices that integrate these voice agents, allowing you to converse with your autonomous assistant naturally while you're driving or operating machinery or even performing surgery.
So the agent is just listening, observing, and acting in the background based on your verbal direction and the ambient context. So if I'm walking through a factory, I can just say to my agent, order the new parts based on the inventory agent's recommendation, but negotiate a 5% discount. And the agent executes that multi-step, multi-platform operation immediately.
Immediately, the human input becomes strategy and verbal oversight, delivered conversationally.
This sounds like a global, sprawling new software market. If every professional and every company needs these specialized multi-agent clusters, we're going to need a distribution system to handle all that complexity.
And that is the necessity of the agent app stores. This market structure will mirror the revolution we saw with mobile apps, but focused entirely on these autonomous digital workers.
But how will this marketplace handle the complexity of selling a whole cluster of collaborating agents rather than just one piece of software?
Well, it needs a robust infrastructure for version control, for security vetting, for licensing. You won't just download a productivity tool, you'll download an entire specialized workforce.
Wow.
This marketplace will host downloadable agents, industry-specific bundles like a complete legal cluster, or a manufacturing logistics swarm paid upgrades for advanced capabilities, and enterprise licensing models tailored for corporate security needs. This centralized yet diverse marketplace is the key infrastructure enabling the rapid global deployment of these multi-agent networks.
Okay, we've established the what and the how. But before we dive into the career blueprint, we have to pause and address the monumental risks and the governance vacuum that's being created by these autonomous, globally distributed workers.
The shift to autonomy brings with it these incredibly complex legal and ethical questions that require immediate, detailed governance. And governments globally are, well, they're scrambling to create accountability frameworks that can keep pace with this exponential technology growth.
Let's address the 5 critical questions that are going to define the next wave of AI law. And the first is maybe the most fundamental: attribution. If an autonomous agent makes a mistake, A faulty financial trade, a flawed legal filing. Who is legally responsible?
That is the central problem of accountability. I mean, current liability frameworks. They were not built for software that learns and acts independently.
Not at all.
So legislation has to define whether the responsibility lies with the user who initiated the goal, the developer who built the agent, the owner of the platform it runs on, or, and this is where it gets really strange, whether the agent itself can hold a form of liability or corporate ownership, a concept that is already being debated fiercely.
And tied directly to that is the need for transparency, which, as you noted, is partially addressed by tech like neurosymbolic reasoning. Without a clear path to auditing, attribution is impossible.
Transparency requires a legislative mandate that, for high-stakes applications, the AI's reasoning process cannot be a black box. The legal system cannot hold a corporation accountable for an agent's error if the corporation itself can't explain the logical steps that led to that error.
So the laws have to enforce explainability.
In courtrooms, medical boards, and financial oversight bodies, yes.
The agent swarms, operating across all these platforms, collecting multimodal data. That also introduces massive privacy risks.
This is a gargantuan task for regulators. When agents are continuously observing our audio, our video, our sensor data, our conversations, our movements, our digital habits, the volume of sensitive, intimate data they collect is staggering.
So laws have to strictly define what they can store.
What data they can store, for how long, whether that data can be monetized, and how access can be securely limited, particularly for those localized edge AI models. Data sovereignty becomes a geopolitical issue when these agents operate across borders.
And as AI becomes an increasingly powerful decision maker in systems like loan approvals, hiring, and criminal justice predictions, the risk of scaling existing bias becomes acute.
Bias prevention is an ethical and an economic imperative. If the training data used to build an agent reflects societal discrimination, historical lending practices, for instance, the autonomous agent won't just replicate that discrimination, it will institutionalize it and scale it rapidly across an entire market segment.
So what's the solution?
Regulatory frameworks have to mandate rigorous, ongoing, independent auditing of agent decision metrics to ensure fairness and prevent discriminatory outputs in these automated systems.
Finally, as these agents become massive content creators, designers, writers, developers, musicians, the entire concept of intellectual property is completely overturned.
Yeah, copyright is currently one of the muddiest waters. I mean, who owns the novel, the software code, or the graphic design generated entirely by an autonomous agent cluster?
Is it the programmer?
Is it the user who paid a subscription fee to deploy the agent? Or is the output automatically public domain because no human actually created it?
We need detailed AI laws on that, urgently.
Urgently, to prevent massive legal battles and to avoid stifling the creative economy.
Okay, moving from the legislative challenges to the human side of the equation.
Be professional.
Impact. The change isn't simply that jobs disappear, but that the entire nature of work fundamentally shifts.
The overarching trend is crystal clear. Routine, repetitive information processing jobs will decline dramatically.
So they're the easiest to automate.
They're the most easily and cost-effectively automated by these multi-step autonomous agents. Conversely, creative, strategic, and supervisory jobs will rise.
The human has to move up the value chain.
Exactly. The new supervisory roles, they require human judgment for nuance, emotional intelligence for client negotiation, and strategic oversight for managing the performance and the ethical guardrails of the digital workforce.
The human advantage lies in dealing with ambiguity.
And the unknown unknowns. This necessitates a massive upskilling initiative. AI literacy becomes mandatory. It's no longer optional. It's a prerequisite for nearly every professional role.
That's the strategic imperative for you listening then. The source emphasizes that professionals who efficiently use and manage AI will replace those who don't.
It's not human versus machine. It's the augmented professional versus the unaugmented professional. The future belongs to the professional who treats their agent cluster like their highest performing digital team, focusing their own energy on the highest leverage, human-centric tasks.
So the question now becomes, how do we act on this knowledge before the market window closes?
Right.
The speed of this transformation between 2025 and 2030, it creates this unique, incredibly time-sensitive competitive edge for those who move first.
This is the window for early adopters. We're talking 2025 to 2027. The biggest competitive advantage will go to those who integrate agent building and deployment now. If you wait until 2028, the basic market niches, all that low-hanging fruit of automation, will already be saturated.
And the complexity barrier for entry will be significantly higher.
Much higher.
So what are the actionable items that you, listening, should prioritize in this critical 2-year window?
Okay, first, you have to master AI agent building early. Move past simple prompting to actually architecting complex, autonomous, multi-step workflows. Second, you should launch AI businesses designed specifically to leverage these digital workforces, keeping your overhead low and your scalability instant.
Okay.
Third, look at building digital schools or specialized AI tutoring services to capture that massive shift in education. And fourth, you need to automate your current profession or design and deploy industry-specific agents that solve critical vertical market problems others haven't addressed yet.
The warning is clear then. If you're not building the systems, you will be using the systems built by others.
Or worse, competing against them. This is the era of digital industrialization. Those who own the means of digital production, the agent architectures, will dominate.
The source also highlights some fascinating global opportunities, particularly how this technology can serve as a historic bypass for developing economies. It even cites regions like Pakistan as an example where immediate high-quality infrastructure is needed.
This is the ultimate leveling of the playing field. Autonomous AI agents offer solutions where physical infrastructure is slow or scarce or prohibitively expensive.
Right.
I mean, think about the cost of building 50,000 new fully staffed schools versus the subscription cost of a localized, high-quality, personalized AI tutoring cluster.
It provides immediate access and affordability in these critical sectors.
Absolutely. AI agents can deliver instant education equality by providing world-class tutoring in local languages to rural populations. They provide affordable legal help and basic medical diagnostics, overcoming the geographic barriers and the expense of human professionals.
And for entrepreneurs.
For entrepreneurs, they enable dramatically cheaper business operations, allowing small businesses to scale globally overnight. This rapid democratization of digital expertise is a historic chance for emerging economies to leapfrog traditional development cycles.
This all sounds immensely compelling, but for you listening, you need a structured path. So let's break down the personal AI plan 2025-2030 blueprint into concrete year-by-year targets for the learner.
Okay, let's do it. We're moving from foundational knowledge to industry leadership in 5 years.
Okay, year 1, mastery and portfolio building.
The goal here is capability. You have to master agent building. Move past just using existing frameworks to truly architecting custom autonomous workflows.
Then you build something.
You build your first product, a minimum viable agent that solves a specific, verifiable problem for a paying customer. And critically, you develop a robust portfolio of successful, documented agent deployments that showcase your ability to handle complexity and deliver results.
That's your professional license for the new economy.
It is.
Okay, year 2, launch and monetization.
This is the scaling year. You launch an AI agency based on that credible year 1 portfolio. The focus shifts immediately to monetizing subscription models. You're selling access to your deployed self-managing agents as a service recurring revenue is key.
And internally.
Internally, you start to build your team of agents to handle your agency's own operations. You use multi-agent networks to manage your client onboarding, your billing, your technical support. You practice what you preach.
I like it. Year 3, global scaling and multimodal deployment.
Now your focus broadens. If you targeted education, you scale your digital school internationally. Technologically, you have to deploy multimodal agents that leverage video, audio, and sensor data. You move beyond the simple text and image models into higher value use cases.
And you start to look abroad.
This is when you actively enter international markets, capitalizing on the lower barriers and high demand in emerging economies.
Year 4, specialization and corporate integration.
Here you transition from being a generalist to having deep vertical expertise. You must build specialized sector agents, entire clusters dedicated solely to niche, high-value problems, like specific regulatory compliance or complex engineering simulation analysis.
And you target bigger clients.
You secure major corporate partnerships with large companies that need white-label agent solutions integrated into their legacy systems. You position yourself as an essential strategic vendor.
And finally, year 5, ecosystem creation and industry leadership.
By this point, you are a platform creator. You leverage your architectural expertise and your market saturation to create your own ecosystem.
What does that mean?
This means launching your own specialized agent marketplace, possibly focused on a high-growth sector like renewable energy or autonomous logistics. You transition fully to platform provision and licensing, establishing true industry leadership. You're driving the next wave of agent innovation rather than just reacting to it.
That is a remarkable, detailed blueprint, a clear 5-year path from learner to industry leader built entirely around the autonomous AI agent transformation that is starting right now.
We've covered ground today that I think really defines the professional reality for the next decade. The key transformations are happening immediately. Autonomous AI agents are reshaping work, education, law, business, healthcare, and governance, all within the next 5 years. This is the birth of the digital industrial workforce.
The future belongs to those who understand the architecture of these agents, who actively build with these tools, who deploy those complex multimodal pipelines, and who figure out how to solve real-world problems and create sustainable monetization models around them. The infrastructure is being built, the early adopter window is open, and it is closing fast.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the 2025-2030 era will be defined by the automation of routine cognition and execution. It's going to fundamentally redefine human potential and require every professional to become a strategist and a supervisor. The technological capability is here. The market need is immense.
So the question for you is,
What specialized autonomous agent will you start building this year to secure your position in the new economy?